At 6:07 a.m. Monday, Elaine watched her marriage come to an end. She was returning home later than usual, having chosen a different route to avoid traffic jams due to the accident. The traffic light in front of her turned red, and she stopped abruptly. She sat and waited, looking lazily across the road, when she saw her husband Sam leaving the hotel with a young girl. She watched as he leaned over, kissed the girl on the cheek, and then walked toward the parking lot as the girl headed back. "Not again," she moaned. Both Elaine and Sam had been married before, when they were both 20 years old. Sam's first wife left with a lot of drama. He said they just got married too early and she met someone else. However, Elaine's first marriage ended in disaster. After 10 years, she thought. A happy marriage until she returned home early from a trip to find him in bed with his secretary. How damn corny, she thought. Recriminations flew back and forth, and inevitably, with no children to think about, they drifted toward divorce. Even years later, she was irritated by how easily he moved on. She spent painful years, forgotten and alone, wondering what she had done wrong, while he married a silicone tramp, had children, and enjoyed his life without her. Then she met Sam, and life became lively again. They dated from time to time, then constantly. And finally, he proposed to her. 4 years ago, they got married and were happy. Or so she thought, she reminded herself bitterly. There were quarrels from time to time. He thought that sometimes she spent too much money. So is this the case? No, everyone fought over things like that, and they weren't in bad financial shape. There was a poignant moment 2 years after their wedding when, concerned that her biological clock was running low, she consulted a specialist and learned that she could not have children. Sam wanted children. So what's the matter? No, Sam took it well. Comforted her for months when she cried about it. He said they could adopt if it was that important. Their sex life wasn't bad, she thought. Yeah, maybe they only do it once a week these days. So is this the case? She wasn't sure. She rarely said no to him, but maybe he didn't want to ask all the time. No, she thought. Remembering the image of the girl she had just seen, it was about beautiful breasts, an ass that did not show cellulite, and a look that looked at the man with adoration. Maybe everything was not as it seemed, she thought, clutching at straws. But she didn't really believe it. He said he'll be late, and didn't answer his cell phone because he had a meeting with someone. He's not lying outright, but he lets her think he's in the office. The traffic light in front of her turned green, which she had not noticed, and only the impatient horns of the drivers behind her brought her back to the present. Her eyes filled with tears. She drove half a block, turned onto a side street, stopped, and cried. When it was finally over, she lowered her visor and looked at herself, trying to fix her makeup. Her cell phone rang. It was Sam. "Hello, honey," he said. "Where are you?" "Oh, I'm on my way home." "Everything is fine?" he asked. "Yes. Why?" "Oh, you sound a little funny." No, I'm fine." She didn't want to deal with it. She tried to talk as if nothing had happened. "Are you home?" "I'll be there in 10 minutes. Would you like me to get some Chinese food?" Yes, of course. See you when you get home." She quickly hung up, returned home before him, and went to the bathroom to clean up her face. "How was your day?" she asked. "Bad day at the office. There's too much to do," he replied with his mouth full. "Did anything else happen?" "No. Why do you ask?" he asked with a puzzled expression on his face. Guilty? Maybe not. She wanted to think not, but who was she kidding? "Oh, nothing. Just chatting." She checked his cell phone while he was in the shower. 17 calls to and from a number she didn't recognize in the last 3 days. She picked up her home phone and dialed 67 to block caller ID. "Hello," said a young voice, a young female voice. She immediately hung up. "Damn it, to hell with it all!" "I think Sam is cheating," she told her friend Marjorie over lunch on Wednesday. "What?" Elaine told her about what she saw on Monday about the phone calls. "Oh God, Al, this is terrible. Have you come face to face with him?" "No. He will simply deny it. That's exactly what Jim did back then. Show me the proof, he said. Maybe it was just one time, Marjorie suggested. You know, a one-night stand and he'll feel guilty about it and stop. 17 phone calls? More than 3 days? I don't think this is a one-time thing. Besides, with idiots like these, beautiful breasts miraculously erase the guilt. Marjorie shook her head sympathetically. So, what are you going to do? At that moment, the cell phone rang. It was Sam. Hey, honey, I'll be late again tonight. I won't be too late. Maybe in an hour or so. Don't expect me at dinner. She didn't know what to say, so she simply said, Fine. What did he say, Al? He won't be there for dinner? He works until late. They stared at each other. He's dating her again, Elaine said desperately. Yes, perhaps, answered Marjorie. I have to see this. They sat in Marjorie's car in front of the hotel and watched. She saw his car pull into the parking lot, watched him get out, watch him enter. Should I go in and find them? I doubt you can. It's not registered and you don't know her name. Crap! She started crying. No, wait! Here they come. Elaine picked up her phone and took a picture as Sam and the girl walked out the door, watching as he hugged her before getting into the car. She watched as he drove away. It was on Saturday. She heard his phone ring, saw him glance at the display, and then walked out onto the patio. She wasn't proud. She quietly walked towards the sliding doors and put her ear to the door, trying not to be seen. It was hard to hear. Fine. Tomorrow? No, her parents will come. I thought you were staying with your parents? Oh, I understand. Well, I can't. How about Monday? Fine. No, I didn't tell her. We will talk about it later. The meaning of these words pierced through her. Love you. He hung up. These were the last words that decided everything. The pain of the last 2 days twisted her insides and changed her. It became rage that he was treating her this way. Love that slut, huh? She thought. You think he would tell her, don't you? She continued fiercely. I don't think so. She'll be ready, and then she'll tell him. And then she'll make him understand what it's like to be treated like crap. And when he will be the only one to cry, and she will take everything that the law allows her and leave with her head held high. She walked out into the patio, ignoring his slightly guilty face. Dinner is coming soon. Come in. After dinner was over and the dishes were washed, Sam turned on the TV to watch the basketball game. Elaine herself went out into the backyard, opened the phone and called. She was cheerful all Sunday. Perhaps a little snide with him. He probably thinks I'm on my period, stupid asshole. Too stupid to imagine that I could have other reasons. Are you both okay, honey? Asked her mother. Of course, Mom. We just argued a little. Okay. I'm sure you'll discuss everything. That night before going to bed. Do you still love me, Sam? Of course I love you, darling. Fine. She hoped it was a little true. It would help. When Sam returned home on Monday, a week after Elaine first saw him, his world began to crumble, just like hers. She called him that afternoon. What time will you be home for dinner? I have to be home at 6:30 as usual. And what? He asked. I want to do something special, and it's a secret. Can you make sure you won't be late? No problem. I have a meeting until 5:30. Half an hour to get home. I'll be there between 6 and 6:30. What do we have today? It's a surprise, she said. See you later. He laughed. Good, good. I love you, honey. Yes, see you, she replied and hung up. The meeting was canceled and Sam decided it was time for him to leave. Tonight was not the night to be late. What he had to say might not be pretty, and he didn't want Elaine to already be in a bad mood when he started. He entered through the kitchen door, throwing his keys on the counter. Hey, honey, are you here? There was no answer. The first thing he saw was her laptop sitting on the kitchen table with the words "Press Play" stuck on the screen. He pressed a key to bring the screen back to life and saw the media player expand on the screen. He pressed the play button. Hello, Sam. Or should I say, hey, you cheating bastard. Elaine's face on the screen contorted with anger. He saw her hold up the phone so that the camera built into the computer could see him. Do you recognize her? I know it's not a very good photo. It's hard to do it using your phone from your car, but I think you probably recognized her. In case you're not sure, here's a hint. She's that disgusting piece of shit you're having sex with behind my back. Did you think I was stupid? You know, maybe that's how it was. Perhaps this had been going on for a long time, and I was just too blind to see it. Or maybe it just started, but there have been others over the years. Doesn't matter. In the end, assholes get caught. And you're clearly an asshole. Sam stood and watched, stunned. You might be wondering why I don't sit there and tell you about this in person. You may be wondering why your clothes aren't strewn all over your front yard and the locks haven't been changed. Oh, that would give it all away. Now you ask, what will happen next? I think I'm right? Well, Sam, here's the thing. I've always liked the expression, the sauce for the gander is the same as for the goose. Somewhere right now, somewhere between 6 and 6:30, you are sitting in the kitchen of the house that you destroyed. And where is your wife? Well, Sam, she's somewhere else now. The clock counts down to 6. She shares this moment with you. Shares it, starting to satisfy the manhood in some guy's pants. Of course, this is just a warm-up, a little foreplay to get everyone in the mood, but a good start nonetheless. Then, of course, they will move on to the real purpose of the evening. Think about it, Sam. Try to get a really good mental picture of your wife being brought to the first of many, many climaxes tonight. Because by the time she's done, she plans to be one completely and unconditionally satisfied woman. I'm afraid that by the end of the night, Tom will turn into a very tired guy. Do you remember Tom? Maybe not. I think I've mentioned him a few times, but he works in a different department, so maybe not. He certainly looks good. And tall. He's about 6 feet. Do you think he's good? You know, down there? Oh, I really hope so. He's quite cute. It's funny, too. I could see myself maybe going on a date with him if I wasn't such a very loyal little wife. He likes me, too. He's divorced, and when I told him my marriage was over, too, and let him know I was interested in a little romp, he was just fine with it. How are you feeling now? She asked maliciously. He felt as if he had been punched in the stomach. She looked at the screen with a cold, hard smile on her face. What kind of situation is it, huh? Here you are, but where am I? My phone is on. You can call me. Come on. I mean, I think I'd love to hear your desperate call. I won't be able to answer this call, of course, because I've always been taught not to talk with my mouth full. She laughed hoarsely at her own joke. But maybe you will try many times, and I can think about you while you think about me. Or will you just leave me some adorable messages asking me not to? Isn't it fun to share? You shared yourself with the little slut, and now I share with Tom. Oh, and you, I suppose, although you only see it in your imagination. Oh, wait, I have a thought. She leaned closer to the camera. Maybe I'll share enough to let Tom fuck me where I'm sitting. You've never had to do this, but since it's going to be a really naughty night of sex, maybe I'll let Tom try. What do you think? Let me describe some of the other things we'll do tonight. I wouldn't want you to have problems. Sam fiddled with the mouse, pausing the video as she continued, not wanting to hear another word. How could this happen? He had absolutely no plan at this point. He sat for a long time, his head was pounding, and his life around him was shattered into pieces. What did she do? More importantly, how could he stop it? Call her? No. She said she wouldn't answer. Tour hotels? It was a small town, but there were many hotels in the center and on the bypass road, and it was almost 5:30. Her phone. He opened a browser on his computer and clicked on a link to the Apple Mobile Me website. Cursing how badly his fingers were shaking, he logged into the site, clicked Account, and then the Find My iPhone menu option. Waiting. Come on, you fucking piece of shit. A blue circle appeared on the map. Somewhere on the corner of 8th and Jefferson Apartments. Grabbing the keys from the counter, he jumped out, his cry of, "God, please let there be no traffic jams," forced the eyes of passers-by to look in his direction. He didn't care. 20 tense minutes later, he pulled into the Jefferson Suites parking lot. He circled halfway before he spotted her Honda standing alone in front of the back of the building. His eyes wandered to the windows and sliding glass doors of the rooms in front of him. What number? Only 2 of them had their curtains drawn. If she was there with some guy, the curtains would definitely be drawn. He ran up to the first one and knocked on the glass door. Nothing. He knocked again. Still nothing. He ran through several rooms to another room and knocked on the door. Nothing again. He knocked again. He heard some movement and the curtains parted. He had never seen this guy before, but his head was almost at the very top of the glass, and Sam knew he was in the right room. "Let me in!" he demanded. I don't know what your deal is, buddy, but I think you've got the wrong number." The guy's voice was muffled by the glass. "I didn't have the wrong number. Open the damn door or I'll kick it down. Maybe we should just let the police handle this," the guy said, starting to turn back into the room. "What? Are you pissing? Are you not courageous enough?" Sam's tone was deliberately contemptuous. The guy turned it around and stared at him for a moment, clearly unimpressed. Sam was smaller than him. He reached out, clicked the lock, and opened the door. "Did you say something?" "Oh, you could beat the crap out of me, Tom," Sam said, not backing down an inch. "But I'm not going to give up easily, and the question you have to ask is, are you ready to commit to someone like this? Rage, who would try to rip your fucking reproductive organs off just so you could rip a piece of his wife's ass off?" Tom's face showed shock, both at the fact that this guy knew his name and wasn't some random crazy person, and at the sincerity he heard in that threat. Then the voice that Sam feared but knew would be there said, "Let him in, Tom." She was sitting on the bed. Her blouse was completely unbuttoned, revealing her lace bra. Her hair was disheveled, and her lipstick was a little smudged. "Did you start early?" he asked caustically. "There are still a few minutes until 6:00. "Just warming up a little," she replied. "But trust me, the main event will happen soon." They stared at each other. Tom broke the silence. I think you two need some time alone. I'll be in the front room." "Don't go far, honey. He'll leave soon," Elaine told him. "So it does not matter." The door closed. "You can't do this, Elaine," said Sam. She felt the anger emanating from him. "You can't stop me. We are consenting adults. Oh, maybe you could start a fight, but Tom is much bigger than you, and I think management will call the police pretty quickly when I start screaming. Do you want to spend the night in jail while I spend the night here? I was planning to return home later, but in the morning, of course, I can do an encore." Her anger matched his, word for word. "I'm serious. Don't do this." "Sorry, you don't have the right to vote. You know, I think you should leave now, Sam. Have fun imagining what's going on here. I know I've had a blast thinking about what you've been doing this week." Poison oozed from every word. She saw the words hit home, saw the pain in his eyes as his mind, no matter how hard he fought it, conjured up an image he didn't want to face. She felt a small pang of sympathy as she saw him realize that his life was in the closet. But that was a small part, just a habit. A big part of her felt the vengeful glee that came from being able to hurt someone back who had hurt you completely. He looked at her, deflated, the anger leaving him, leaving only despair on his face. "Don't do this, Elaine. Please. I want to tell you—" She cut him off. "Oh, I think so, Sam. Everyone needs a little consolation in their hour of grief, and my consolation is in the other room." "I'm sure you'll find yours," she said in a sweet tone. "Where's what's-her-name?" "Susan," he said mechanically. "Okay, where is Susie?" "She's in the car," he admitted, defeat written all over his body. "In the car! You fucking bastard!" Any trace of doubt she felt was swept away as a new wave of rage swept through her. "Were you with her this afternoon?" "Just a little," he said, "but not as much as you think. A little quickie before you go home to your unsuspecting wife, huh? A little afternoon with your hot 18-year-old slut, and then take her to her parents' house before making a home-cooked meal." Sam spoke slowly, sadly. "She's 19. Not 18. Elaine exploded. I don't care how old she is, idiot. She's not a slut. Oh, please. Every word was full of contempt. And I didn't drop her off. I brought my daughter home to meet you. Elaine looked at Sam in shock. What? Sam looked at her. My daughter. I brought her home to introduce her to you. You don't have a daughter, she protested. I thought so, but obviously Marianne was pregnant when we separated. She abandoned the baby after it was born and never told me about it. Susan did not find out until she was 18 who her biological parents were. A month ago, she decided to find me and meet. Elaine sat there, her jaw literally hanging open. She called me last weekend while you were visiting your parents, and we met. We got together this week to talk. Why didn't you tell me? He fell silent for a moment. I think for several reasons. First of all, Susan wasn't ready to meet you. She said that part of it was because she wanted to get to know me one-on-one without other people, and part of it was because she felt conflicted that I no longer loved her real mother, like she was a mistake and wanted to deal with it slowly. But I wouldn't force myself on her. Sam raised his hand. The second reason, Elaine, was simply that I was nervous. You and I can't have children. We had a hard time because of it, remember? Seeing me suddenly appear with my daughter, well, I wasn't sure how you'd react. So I was a bit of a coward. I didn't mean to push Susan into meeting you, but we decided to do it today. That's why she's in the car. Tom poked his head into the room. Elaine, I think I need to go. I thought you weren't really married anymore, but obviously that's not entirely true. Elaine looked from one man to the other. Okay, Tom. I think it's best this way. Sorry. Tom glanced at Sam, receiving a cold look in response. Sorry, I thought it was different, he said. Fuck you. Tom held his gaze for a second, then nodded sharply, turned, and left. They heard the door to the room close. Elaine was silent for a while. Your daughter, she said quietly. I understand what you thought. I was devastated. I know. I'm really sorry you felt this way. He sat down on the edge of the bed. She grabbed his hands. Oh, Sam. Thank God you were here on time. I know I kissed him, but it didn't go any further, I swear. If you hadn't come home earlier, or if I hadn't had this plan to wait until you saw my video and started calling, Sam, I swear nothing happened before you came here. You made it on time. She reached out, took his hands again, and pulled him down to sit him on the bed. I don't know how you found me. I was shocked when I saw you in the window. Oh, God. That would be a disaster. I would ruin our entire marriage. Oh, Sam, I'm so sorry. Let me recover here so I can meet her and we can go home. He looked at her. I think you misunderstood, Elaine. I rushed here to try to put an end to this because I still care about you. No matter what happens, I knew you would never forgive yourself if you slept with that idiot and then found out the truth, he said, removing his hands from hers. But we are no longer together. Her eyes widened in shock, and she reached for him. He stood up and looked down at her. What are you talking about? She asked with confusion on her face. I'm leaving you, Elaine. I can't. In fact, I won't accept what you did. But Sam, you have to understand. I knew you did it. No, Elaine, you didn't know. If you saw me having sex with her, then yes. But this was not the case. You didn't know. You assumed. And based on this assumption, you decided on this vile betrayal. You decided I was a cheating bastard. Those were your exact words, I believe. You decided you wanted to leave. You decided to sleep with someone else while you were still married. The worst thing is that you decided to torture me so that I would think about this while you have sex with him. At this moment, tears flowed from Elaine's eyes. Sam, no, It hurts, he continued, ignoring her protests. You also decided not to talk to me. You decided not to see if there was any other possible explanation for what was happening. First of all, you decided not to treat me with an iota of respect when you left me to have sex with that asshole. This is not a partnership. This is not a marriage. This, of course, is not love. Please, Sam, I made a mistake. This will not happen again. I learned this lesson. This is not a lesson, Elaine. It's a statement of who you are. More importantly, it is a statement of who we are as a couple. There was not an iota of us in what you planned for me to experience at this very second. This is not the relationship I want. This is not the relationship I deserve. Oh God, Sam, I'm so sorry. But I saw you kissing her outside the motel. Who would have thought? Yes, perhaps everyone would think about it. If I saw you leaving a hotel with some guy kissing you, I'd probably come to the same conclusion. In fact, I'm sure I would. I don't blame you for this at all. Your suspicions were well-founded. But then, he continued, ignoring her interruption, the difference is that I would sit you down in front of me and demand that you explain what you were doing. I'm sure I would be angry, furious. I might even say a few things that I would later regret and have to apologize for forever. But I would talk. I'd give you a chance to give me an alternative explanation, hoping you'd have one. I would trust you enough to hope that there was a chance to save our marriage, that, even if it was the worst thing that happened, that it was what I imagined, you would admit it was a mistake and want to try to fix everything. We might not be able to fix it, but at least we would investigate it. I wouldn't go and screw someone else to get back at you. Sam, I didn't have sex with him. True, we just kissed a little. Don't leave me because I kissed a guy. I really want us to work on our marriage. This will never happen again. He looked at her with some disbelief. First of all, you may have only kissed him, but the main event was supposed to happen right after that. And you described exactly what you were going to do with him, even the things you never allowed me to do. She screamed, but he continued without paying attention to her. But you don't understand this. I'm not leaving you because you kissed him, or even really because I was going to fuck him, although I admit that that probably had a factor too. No, the real reason is that you didn't value us enough to even talk to me. Let's not even talk about trusting me. You didn't want to know if I regretted doing it. You didn't want to know if I still loved you. You didn't want to cling to our marriage. You just wanted to hurt me. If you can't trust me, if you can't even try to communicate when you think that trust is gone, then I can't trust you. Sam, you can trust me, she wailed. No, I cannot. Now I know that when you are sure that you are right in your own mind, when you decide that there is no need to ask anyone else about their thoughts, you will not treat me as an equal. You will make unilateral decisions, and they may involve inflicting unimaginable pain on the one you claim to love. Think about the images that would be running through my head right now if I hadn't found you. And you wanted me to see these images. You wanted me to be at home, going crazy while you described every single thing you and Tom were going to do. With every word, she pressed herself deeper into the bed. Okay then, you made your unilateral decision. Now I make mine. I loved you dearly. I still love you because it's not something you can turn off like a switch. Even though I hate what you tried to do to me, what you did to me, love is here. I can't just stop loving you, but I intend to work at it. I'm going to see my daughter. Oh God, Sam, she begged, please don't do this. But he stopped listening. He lowered his eyes, took the wedding ring off his finger, and threw it in her face. Then he turned and walked out the door. She looked around the room frantically, trying to find her shoes so she could run after him. Her gaze fell on the clock. At 6:07 a.m., Monday, Elaine watched her marriage come to an end. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.